Well, I think there has to be accountability when first it starts with the budget cycle. How are the budgets being made? For example, in those years that you're referencing, I came out and said that some of the budgets were not adequate. But the problem is not the budget. The budget is just a plan on paper, about a spending plan on paper. The problem is really what is spent, what is released, what is expended, and then to which authority is that amount expended, that is released to. So I think we have to be very careful here, because the real difficulty, at least to the best of my knowledge, is that much of the military purchasing had been done by, we don't have a multi-year or a multi-period purchasing system. We have a spot market purchasing system, particularly with regard to military hardware. That's how come you found $9-something million of our cash seized in South Africa and other things. Because sometimes, because we don't have a program budgeting system in place, particularly for military hardware, which we should do. That's why that was developed in the United States for many years ago. Because you found that you couldn't really, military budgets have to be a multi-year kind of a thing, because you can't complete it in one cycle, and so you have to program it. And when you build up to this level, you build up onto the next, and so on. So much of our big military hardware are more in terms of they are received more in terms of perhaps gifts. Australia will give us a free gift
from the partners.
Yeah, from the partners. Rather than multi-year, purpose-built military hardware for our purposes. So I think there's a lot of difficulty there. There's a lot of fraud there. I don't want to get into if somebody is arrested, that is normal, because an arrest is simply deprivation of freedom for the purpose of getting more information. Arrest is just, come and tell us more about this. We saw that you signed this or that. But that the arrest does not mean that that something has been done wrong, if you know what I mean, that a crime has been committed. But now, the question you asked was also about there's virements. We have virements of military budget. That means monies that are budgeted for military hardware, they are diverted to other purposes. So there are so many difficulties here. The biggest problem we've had really with military budget is lack of capital budget. You'll find that in the military budget, and I've analyzed many over the years, you find that, let's say the budget, $1,000 for the military budget, you'll find that only $5 is allocated for capital, for the capital vote. The other $995 is for recurrent expenditure, and that is a no. So I think we have to perhaps kind of change that orientation with the posture of the new government now, President Buhari's government, that there should be more by way of capital vote, much more than what it used to be, and then a reduction in the recurrent vote. And I think we can see more things happening. But I think also there should be proper investigation of perhaps if the funds, even the little one, the 5% of the budget that was allocated, if it was properly used, there should be a proper investigation, and it should be aired. It shouldn't just be the usual sweetheart kind of investigations that we do here in Nigeria. It should be aired out. It should, in fact, be some kind of a public hearing, not just, a smoke room type of investigation.
Shrouded in secrecy. Let me take you back a little bit to something you mentioned earlier about the role of institutions, religious institutions, in the fight against terrorism in the country. A leader, a religious leader, was quoted as saying they knew who was behind the bombing in Kano. Now, there are those who are wondering if he has been picked up for questioning, but that's on the one side. I asked about the role of the family, the role of the society in monitoring these sleeper cells. How can these people be encouraged to step up onto the plate and monitor and ensure that where there are seeds that are being planted, they are uprooted before they even take root, not necessarily waiting for the government to come in?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think in Nigeria we've tended to not be serious about things that could create threat that had potential for violence and so on. I tell you why I say this. Back in 2003, December 2003, there was an eruption in Kanama, Yobe. And that was the precursor of Boko Haramism. In 2002, a guy called Muhammad Ali radicalized Muhammad Yusuf, the leader of Boko Haram. And he tried to encourage him to come to engage on a hijra, that is a religious movement from an evil place to a good place. And where was he going on the hijra? He will be going to Yobe State, that is to Kanama, on the border with Niger and near Chad also, so that they will now have their own enclave, which Muhammad Yusuf refused to join, but Ali went and set up what they called Little Afghanistan, and that's what the U.S. intelligence then dubbed Nigerian Taliban, because Ali came from the Taliban stock. Ali is a Nigerian, but he went and trained in Afghanistan. So he imbibed Taliban ideology, radicalism, and that's what he brought back here and gave to Muhammad Yusuf. Now he took his followers there and started a conflict. But guess what happened? A sitting senator today in Nigeria, the former governor of Yobe State, was confronted by this, and he said, wait a minute. First they sent the soldiers as usual. Soldiers were routed by these guys. And then they now called in the army. And after an intense battle, the army prevailed. Kanama Yobe, they prevailed in January of 2004. Now, so the question is, so what happened beyond that? It was swept away. Now, at that time, Okiro was saying, there is, how did he call it? He said, we have terrorists in Nigeria. Nobody listened. So it's that far back in time. Now, back to the present. A bomb went off in a Shia procession. 21 persons died. And the leader of the procession comes and says, it's not a Boko Haram bomb. So the question is, whose bomb is it? Now, if it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck, to me, it's probably a duck. So, BH, they don't like large crowds, because, and they hit large crowds. Now, I think I know why, and I'm not going to get into that here, why that was said. But the point is, a bomb went off. I think it's probably BH. I don't think any attempt to absorb them is valid. But then, who is investigating that statement that, oh, it's not BH? Because it's a definitive statement. Okay, if it's not BH, then perhaps you have information, or you can tell us the bomb maker. Maybe you know the bomb signature. Because somebody, so those are the things. So I think we take religion too much to an extreme here. When things are done and there's any veneer of religion, we back away from it. So the law enforcement personnel must be professional. They must go out there and do their job. You know, I mean, who said that religious personages don't also get involved in nonsense? After all, this whole fundamentalism we are fighting now grew out of religion, and that's why I gave you that bit of history. But now, sorry, just to do the family and society thing, the society, we need to, as a people, understand that this country belongs to us, and we need to really look out. I have called for many times enrollment of citizens in the fight against terror. and that's a societal thing. What do I mean by enrollment of citizens? We need to give citizens TAPIs. TAPIs is terrorist attack incident indicators. What do people need to know ahead of time? What do they need to look out for? Because they are also impacted by these pernicious devices if they come in contact with them. So what should they look out for? And who are the threats? What are the threats? What are the methods of attack? Who are the attackers? And so on and so forth. So, but that is information that is with the authority, because that is expert information, the police agency, the SSS. They should come out and tell us some of these things and continue to drum it into us so that we will understand. I like one advert they have on TV. They say kidnapping no be business, or it's a crime or something. I don't know how they said it. And that's good. You need that kind of message. You need that kind of messaging to go out and go out and go out. So we have to become a little bit more engaging of our society. Now, family is the first line of defense, because family, you live with those people, you see them, you know when their behaviors change. And a young person is up all night. I know these days with modern life, we don't want to bother young people. But you should really check in on your kids from time to time, because you still have a parental duty, to ensure that your kid doesn't go wrong. Because if that kid goes wrong and something happens to him, it's just a loss to the family and probably a loss to the nation also.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Onah Ekhomu, security expert, who's been speaking to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've been looking at the security situation, but Sunrise Daily will take a moment